A popular female star washed up clean and lay on my bed, but I didn't touch her. Instead, I kicked her out in a rage. I just received a call from my parents telling me I was a fake heir swapped at birth. The real daughter was coming home today. After my identity was exposed, I wasn't mad. I actually doted on the girl who exposed me. I knew the Lin family always favored boys. Even knowing she was their biological flesh, they still gave all their love to me, the fake, before I transmigrated here. The original fake heir held a grudge against her. He constantly provoked and targeted her. It eventually led to her total corruption. She forced the whole family to overdose. To keep my wealthy lifestyle, I decided to get on her good side. So, I drove her to school the next day. Right after the first class, I saw a petite girl, tears in her eyes, peering into our classroom. Recognizing Zhang Shan, who shared food with Qingyi, I jumped up from my seat. What's wrong? Did something happen to Qingyi? As I spoke, I heard desks and chairs crashing upstairs. Qingyi was surrounded by 5 girls. Her desk had been kicked aside. She stood there, clutching her skirt helplessly. The ringleader mocked her appearance. No wonder you could afford new clothes today. So you were selling yourself. It's all over the internet now. You shamed our whole school. She pulled a sack of cash from her bag and threw it in Qingyi's face. This is enough to buy you for a night. Take off your clothes now and let the class see for themselves. Qingyi shook her head repeatedly, choking back tears as she explained. My brother bought these for me. The girl sneered at her words. Still playing the victim? Since she won't do it herself, let's help her out. The 5 of them lunged forward. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed. The classroom door was kicked off its hinges. I stormed in, radiating pure rage. Everyone froze in their tracks. Seeing me, Qingyi's pent-up sorrow finally broke through. She broke free from their grip and buried herself in my arms. I patted her back gently, trying to suppress my fury. I whispered, asking if she was hurt. Qingyi couldn't stop sobbing. Brother, I didn't sell myself for these clothes. You bought them for me. Please, explain it to them. I looked at my friend who followed me in. Fatty, block the back door. I smoothed Qingyi's hair. Don't worry, I'll explain everything. The ringleader laughed mockingly. Oh, so this is the guy who bought you? I didn't know he was a student here. How much? I didn't say a word, just held Qingyi tightly as I walked to the podium. I kicked the podium, sending it flying. Another massive crash echoed. The room went deathly silent. I scanned the room. Listen up. My name is Lin Hao. You dare touch my sister? Now, I'm going to explain things to you. Get on your knees and listen. Hearing my words, the students sneered in disbelief. Isn't Lin Hao just Liang Wanwan's lapdog? He's been chasing her for a year, wasting all his family's money without even holding her hand. Did he give up on her and switch to Qingyi? I twitched at that. I didn't know the original was so famous. The ringleader is Gu Cancan. She always bullied Qingyi. The guy next to her is Liao Feiwen. He's Gu Cancan's boyfriend. Seeing how pretty Qingyi looked today, he wouldn't leave her alone. Gu Cancan got jealous and started the bullying. Qingyi listened as Zhang Shan explained. I nodded, looking at the trembling girl in my arms. My heart ached. She was bullied at home by the original and bullied at school by her peers. Her life had been far too dark. No wonder she saw the male lead as her only light, even knowing he only wanted her body. Thinking of this, I held her even tighter. Call your homeroom teacher here. I want to see how he handles this. Zhang Shan looked at me hesitantly. Are you sure? I nodded. Without the teacher's indulgence, could this trash even exist? Today, I'll destroy everyone who bullied my sister. Zhang Shan glanced at me again. In his mind, students can't fight teachers. But seeing my cold expression, he quickly ran out of the room. I grabbed a chair and sat down. Qingyi huddled in my arms, soaking my shirt with her tears. I took out my phone and found the principal's number. The principal is Huang Diren. He personally arranged the original's enrollment. As soon as it connected, his sycophantic voice came through. Young Master Lin, are you here for class? If the classroom is uncomfortable, my office has a new sofa. Come over. I sneered. Get to class 2-1 in 10 minutes. I want you to see how you've been running this school. I hung up without waiting for a reply. The students were stunned. Hearing my words, they looked at each other in confusion. Did he just call the principal? How could he talk to the principal like that? Who does he think he is? Giving the principal 10 minutes? Ordering him to come? He's delusional. I ignored their mockery and dialed the next number. Captain Chen, this is Lin Hao. Class 2-1, Jiang Shanghai. There's a severe bullying incident. Send a Tim to handle it. The students looked at me like I was a clown. Who did he call? Chen Weijun? Sending a Tim? Does he think he owns the police? I bet he didn't even dial a number. He's just putting on a show. Exactly. Otherwise, why would they answer so fast? And his tone? Ordering the principal and the captain? He's really acting. That must be how he tricked Qingyi. I scanned the room and laughed. Are you still not kneeling to listen? Liao Feiwen sneered. Who do you think you are? Just bluffing. You said the principal would be here in 10 minutes. Block the door for 10 minutes. If he doesn't show, let's show him what happens when you provoke our class. I kept a cold face and made the last call. Little knife, bring 30 guys. Jiang Shanghai, class 2-1. How GE's orders. We'll be there in 20 minutes. The guy called Little Knife, real name Lu Dao, is a famous local thug. Little Knife? I'm Little Cannon. Who is he calling? 30 guys? Are they going to carry him out? The students laughed. Didn't you say 10 minutes? It's been 7 minutes already. If the principal doesn't come, we're going to act. Liao Feiwen smiled maliciously. He looked at Qingyi in my arms and licked his lips. Brother, will you be Oku? Qingyi asked, eyes red. If there's real trouble, you should run. I felt her body trembling slightly. I wiped her tears and comforted her. As long as I'm here, no one will bully you. Qingyi felt a lump in her throat. She forced a smile. I believe you, brother. I pinched her nose and laughed. Remember their faces. Don't go soft on them later. Noticing my intimate gesture, Qingyi blushed and whispered, I'll listen to you. Click-clack. Sharp heels echoed down the hall. A middle-aged woman with high cheekbones entered. What is all this noise? Our class is the loudest in the school. Her name is Wu Hui, the homeroom teacher. Seeing the mess, she roared, "Who did this? Are you all mute?" Suddenly, she saw me and Chingy in my arms. "Chingy, you again? Dress like a little slut today. Who are you trying to seduce? Hanging on a man in public? How cheap can you be? And you brought your boyfriend to cause trouble? Someone lie, you should be expelled. Call your parents here immediately. I want to see what kind of parents could raise such a shameful thing." Hearing her barrage of insults, I finally understood why this class dared to bully Chingy so brazenly. The poor girl hadn't said a word. Her clothes were torn, clearly the victim. But Wu Hui didn't investigate, just blamed Chingy immediately. Chingy shrank back in fear, hiding deeper in my arms. I turned my eyes, dropping my aggressive act. I said, "Teacher Wu, I'm her brother. If you want to talk to parents, talk to me. Look, my sister's clothes are torn. She's traumatized. She's clearly the victim." Wu Hui sneered at my weak act. "It takes two to tango. If she wasn't acting like a slut, would people tear her clothes? Why don't they tear mine? At such a young age, dressing like a slut. Seeing you two together, you're no good either." The students laughed. "Lin Hao, we liked you better when you were arrogant. Why are you acting like a rat now? Where are the principal and the captain? Call them over." I pinched Chingy's cheek and whispered in her ear, "Brother is going to fight. Just sit here." I stood up with a pathetic expression. As I rose, Chingy clutched her chest and grabbed my sleeve. Noticing my gaze, she said, "Brother, I'm scared." I felt annoyed. I walked up to Wu Hui and smiled innocently. "Teacher, you said it takes two to tango?" As I finished, I slapped her across the face. A crisp sound echoed. I laughed. "See? That was pretty loud." Wu Hui looked at me in SOC. She didn't expect a student to hit her. She lunged at me, but I slapped her again. I asked, "Was that loud enough?" She gritted her teeth, lunging again. I looked at her coldly. "If not for your ugly face, I'd strip you and throw you outside. After all, as you said, if I tear your clothes, it's just you acting like a slut." "A teacher acting like a slut? You're really cheap." Seeing the coldness in my eyes, she didn't dare move. She turned to the students, roaring, "Are you all cowards? I taught you for so long, and you watch me get bullied? He's a thug. Get him." Liao Feiwen, already eager, lunged at Chingy. I pulled her back and kicked him in the chest. Bang! He flew back, crashing onto the podium, then rolled to the floor. Everyone froze. "What are you waiting for? He's holding a hostage." Attack together. Chang Yuan, seeing me in danger, rushed in like a tank. "How gee, if it starts, take her and go." I checked the time and shook my head. "No need. If Wang Duran isn't here in 10 seconds, he won't be in this city anymore." "You want our principal to disappear?" Wu Hui laughed. "If he comes, he'll just expel you both." "We don't need you here." I raised an eyebrow. "Right, I'm a stick, and you're a pile of shit. Did your parents teach you to respect teachers?" Wu Hui roared and led the students to surround us. Suddenly, heavy breathing came from the door. Around, kind-looking man leaned on the frame, panting, "Stop everything. Principal Huan, you're here?" Seeing him, Wu Hui smiled brightly. She pointed at me, explaining, "These thugs broke in, hurt students. We've surrounded them." Wang Duran glared at the students and ran to me, looking like a servant. "Young master, are you hurt?" Seeing his reaction, everyone was stunned. Wang Duran looked kind, but was usually very strict. He managed the school with an iron fist. In 5 years, he expelled over 50 students. By removing the bad apples, the school's reputation soared. He was known as the Iron Principal. Is this really him? Look at how he's acting. Is he possessed? Aren't you afraid of being expelled? But the principal is acting weird. Looking at the trembling Wang Duran, I took a chair and sat down with Chingy. "This will take a while. Mind if I sit?" I asked. Wang Duran shook his head, fawning. "Young master, my apologies. Please, rest." I rubbed my temples. Looking at this pathetic man, I couldn't even be mad. I waved my hand. "Just investigate this properly." Wang Duran smiled at me, then turned to Wu Hui. He wanted to curse her out, but was afraid of scaring me. He suppressed his rage. "Tell me, what happened?" Hearing his tone, I chimed in, "Principal, is this how you handle problems? Does it look like you?" Wang Duran took a deep breath. He knew I wasn't satisfied. His voice rose sharply. "Tell me what happened." Hearing his stern question, Wu Hui's lips trembled. "Principal, I don't know anything." I leaned out from behind him, mocking. "Didn't you investigate clearly? My sister was acting like a slut, deserving to have her clothes torn." "I think you're right. It takes two to tango, right?" "We're right, so why fear? Or do you know you're wrong? And since my sister has no one to support her, you just bully her?" Wang Duran guessed the situation. He slapped Wu Hui against the wall. "It takes two to tango? Did you investigate? Making conclusions so easily? I worked so hard for a civilized school, and you're a beast in human clothing?" "I see now. You think because I expel many students, you can act like an empress here? I tell you, the students I expel all have major issues. I have a clear conscience. I don't just expel students, I expel teachers too. Get out now." "Wait," I sneered. I patted the little one's back. "Has she done anything else to you?" Wu Hui's routine was too practiced. She clearly did this often. Chingy hummed, nodding against my chest. Wu Hui was truly terrified. She didn't expect that insulting Qingyi would cost her her job. She knelt, hugging Huang Diren's leg. Principal, it's my fault. I shouldn't have slandered her. I'll change. I swear I'll change. Huang Diren looked at me hesitantly. In terms of teaching, Wu Hui was capable. Wu Hui noticed his look and crawled to me. Young master, I'll treat your sister well. She's been my student for so long. Please, help me beg your brother. Qingyi didn't speak, just burrowed into my arms. She felt the safest place in the world was in my arms, and I was warm. Noticing she didn't want to be near her, I said, Teacher Wu, you still don't see your mistake. If my sister bullied someone, I'd teach her a lesson. You'd treat her well. Just shows you see students as unequal, and teaching her is your job, isn't it? Did you give her extra tutoring? The only special treatment was slandering her. How dare you? Ask her to beg for you? I looked at Huang Diren. Learn to be a person before learning knowledge. Under such a teacher, I doubt the student's character. Huang Diren nodded. He shouted at Wu Hui. You're no longer a teacher here. Get out. Knowing she was fired, Wu Hui stood up, glaring at Huang Diren. Since I'm not a teacher here, you can't control me. She looked at me, cursing, you and your sister. You're definitely sleeping together. Your sister's dressed like a slut. She deserves to have her clothes ripped off. Everyone knows she's selling herself. Stop acting so innocent. Lin Qingyi was wearing a light pink shirt, paired with a pleated school skirt. She has a sweet style. It has nothing to do with being a slut. Lin Hao narrowed his eyes and said coldly, Teacher Wu, you probably don't know this. Spreading malicious rumors is a crime. I could have you arrested for years. Don't think that just because the school ignores you, there's no one left to hold you accountable. Wu Hui sneered. My husband works for the city guard. If you're so capable, have him come arrest me. I already called him just now. This isn't over. Just as she finished speaking, a squad of city guards arrived at the door. Wu Hui spotted her husband behind the guards. She rushed over, crying, Zhou Long, your wife is being bullied to death by this rat. He just slapped me several times. Look, the marks are still on my face. Even my job was lost because of this rat. Hurry up and arrest him. Lock him up for 10 or 8 years. Hearing his wife was bullied, Zhou Long's temper flared up instantly. Following the direction Wu Hui pointed, he saw his captain greeting Lin Hao warmly. His neck shrank back involuntarily. He whispered, You don't mean the person who bullied you is young Master Lin, right? Wu Hui nodded and said fiercely, Det, it's that little brat. Husband, hurry, and help me arrest him. Zhou Long covered Wu Hui's mouth. Damn it, you're going to be the death of me. Follow me and apologize to young Master Lin right now. If we don't get young Master Lin's forgiveness, our whole family is finished. Just then, Lin Hao wore a meaningful smile and cast his gaze over. Teacher Wu, is that your husband? Didn't you want him to arrest me? Following Lin Hao's gaze, city guard Captain Chen Fu noticed Zhou Long and Wu Hui standing at the back. He frowned and said unhappily, Zhou Long, since when did the city guard become your family business? Arresting people whenever you want? Wu Hui stared blankly at Lin Hao and at Chen Fu standing beside him. Only now did she realize how much trouble she was in. Her eyes were red. Tears couldn't help but fall. Husband, what do I do? I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong this time. Please help me. Zhou Long stiffened his neck. He pulled Wu Hui and bowed deeply to Lin Hao. Young Master Lin, I know my wife's temper. She definitely bears a lot of responsibility today. I apologize to you on her behalf. Lin Hao looked at Huang Diren. Pull up the surveillance footage from this classroom, so they don't think I'm abusing my power. Principal Huang had already done so. Before rushing here, he had already called for the footage. Watching the 60-0 of Lin Qingyi being bullied for no reason, and Wu Hui, without knowing the cause, unscrupulously pointing fingers and cursing at her. Seeing this scene again, Lin Hao's fists tightened even more. He looked at Wu Hui and said sarcastically, Teacher Wu, it takes two to tango. Let's see if this slap really makes a sound. The 60-0 finished playing. Huang Diren brought out another kip. This is what I just pulled up. The 60-0 from after I fired her. In the footage, after Wu Hui was fired, she became even more reckless, starting to curse at people wantonly. Zhou Long's face turned bright red. He glared at Wu Hui beside him. Wu Hui buried her head in her chest, looking away. She didn't dare to look at Zhou Long at all. Zhou Long took a deep breath. He stepped forward and apologized. Young Master Lin, this is all my wife's fault. How would you like to handle this? Lin Hao spread his hands. You're really putting me in a tough spot. I'd better ask the group's legal department to see how to handle this situation. Principal Huang, we should be able to pull up the last year of footage, right? Hearing Lin Hao wanted a year's worth of footage, Wu Hui fell to her knees immediately. Today she only cursed at Lin Qingyi, but over the past year, ever since she noticed Lin Qingyi's worn out clothes and that her family didn't care, she would take her anger out on her when in a bad mood. Chen Fu patted Zhou Long on the shoulder. Have your wife confess everything from this past year? It'll save us some work. Zhou Long sighed and said, Det, Captain, I'll take the suspect back for interrogation now. Thinking of the potential prison time, Wu Hui's tears wouldn't stop flowing. Husband, you can't just leave me like this. If I get locked up, what will my relatives and friends think of me? Hurry and beg young Master Lin for me. I really didn't mean it. Zhou Long glared fiercely at Wu Hui. He roared. I told you to change your attitude long ago. You never listened. Bullying others for no reason. Why bully a child? Everyone's child is precious. When you were abusing that child, you should have known this day would come. Hurry up and come with me. Seeing the city guard take the teacher away, the students were all shocked as they looked at Lin Hao, the principal and the city guard. Were they really called by Lin Hao? What kind of background does Lin Hao have? A simp with this much power? Just for cursing at Lin Qingyi, she was taken away by the city guard. If they interrogate Liao Feiwen and Gu Cancan, wouldn't they be rotting in jail? Liao Feiwen and Gu Cancan looked at each other, their eyes filled with fear as they looked at Lin Hao. They thought bullying Lin Qingyi was just a student prank. It's not like it hasn't happened before. At worst, they just apologize afterward. They didn't expect Lin Hao to call the city guard to have them arrested and hold them accountable. If they get a record for bullying, with a criminal record, their lives would be over. Finally, a girl behind Gu Cancan couldn't take the pressure. She knelt down on the spot. Lin Hao, I was forced by Gu Cancan. I didn't want to bully Lin Xingyi either. But if I didn't bully her, then I would be the one being bullied. After someone took the lead, the other 3 girls knelt on the ground, echoing her repeatedly. Det, it was all forced by Gu Cancan. We were also helpless. Gu Cancan looked at the 4 kneeling girls in SOC. They all bullied Lin Xingyi together, but now they were making her take the fall alone. She gritted her teeth fiercely, kicking each of them in the chest. You were the ones who told me that Lin Xingyi was selling herself outside. You were the ones who said she was seducing my boyfriend. Now you say I forced you to do it? When did I ever force you? After being kicked, the 4 looked at each other. They stood up and pounced on Gu Cancan. Gu Cancan, I've put up with you for a long time. Just because your family has some money? Acting all high and mighty all day. Looking down on this person and that person. You're just jealous that Lin Xingyi is prettier than you and wanted to bully her? Let's strip her clothes off together. Let's see how arrogant she is then. Det, she treated Lin Xingyi like this. We'll treat her the same way. They swarmed up, grabbing Gu Cancan's arms, pulling her hair and tearing her clothes. Gu Cancan struggled desperately, but she was outnumbered. A sound of fabric tearing echoed. Gu Cancan's clothes were shredded in an instant. Enough. Lin Hao suddenly snorted. Hearing his voice, they stopped immediately. Gu Cancan was left in her undergarments, curled up in a ball, sobbing uncontrollably. Just then, a light whistle came from outside the classroom. A thin man leaned against the doorframe and raised an eyebrow. Brother Hao, we're not late, are we? Seeing the man's face, a commotion broke out among the students. Damn, the knife Lin Hao mentioned earlier, is that Brother Knife? He called the city guard and Brother Knife? Lin Hao is connected to both sides. The city guard would at most lock them up for a few months, but with Brother Knife involved, they'll probably be bedridden for the next few months. Lu Dao walked into the classroom. He mocked Huang Diren, Principal Huang. The security at your school should have been replaced long ago. A bunch of old fogies. What good are they? He looked at Chen Fu and smiled. Captain Chen, are you here to help Brother Hao settle things too? Chen Fu said seriously, we received a report that a vicious school bullying incident occurred here. He looked at Lu Dao and warned, don't cause trouble. Otherwise, we'll just take you all back with us. Lu Dao spread his hands. Captain Chen, I'm a law-abiding citizen. If you slander me, I'll sue you. Lin Hao separated the two. He smiled at Chen Fu. Captain Chen, you might not want to see what happens next. Please wait outside for a moment. Chen Fu glanced at the sobbing Gu Cancan, and then at Lin Hao. Lin Hao didn't let them strip Gu Cancan completely, which meant Lin Hao still had some restraint. He nodded, and let everyone out of the classroom temporarily. Lin Hao gestured to Lu Dao. Lu Dao understood and had his men surround the area. He walked slowly in front of Gu Cancan, and slapped her across the face. Crying? What right do you have to act pitiful? If I hadn't come just now, did you think about what would have happened to my sister? It was just a student prank, Gu Cancan said stubbornly. Lin Hao sneered. So I interrupted your fun, is that it? Then let them continue playing with you for a while. No. I can give you money. I'll give you a lot of money. Please, let me go. Gu Cancan begged. Money? Lin Hao walked to Lin Xingyi's desk. He carefully took out her school bag. In the pocket of the bag, he found the card he gave Lin Xingyi yesterday, and a 5 million trek. Do you see how much money is here? Lin Hao said disdainfully. The money in the bank card isn't visible, but the trek clearly says 5 million. Lin Hao slapped Gu Cancan again. Do you think I care about your pocket change? Gu Cancan didn't expect this. Lin Xingyi, whom she always looked down on, was actually richer than her? No, impossible. This trek must be fake. Lin Hao generously shoved the trek into Gu Cancan's hand. Since it's fake, then tear it up. Gu Cancan didn't dare to take the trek. Her hands were just tightly clenched together. Lin Hao spat. If the knife doesn't cut you, you don't feel the pain, do you? If I hadn't arrived in time, my sister would have been stripped by you. God knows what else you would have done after that. It's a prank. Why are you scared now that it's your turn? Do you know that what you did was actually very cruel? Lin Hao raised his foot and kicked her in the chest. Even killing you would be getting off light. You were trying to ruin my sister's whole life. Listening to Lin Hao's rapid heartbeat, Lin Xingyi could feel how angry Lin Hao was. She looked up at Lin Hao and patted his chest gently, like stroking a cat. Lu Dao realized the situation was getting out of hand. He quickly stepped between Lin Hao and Gu Cancan. Brother Hao, it's not worth it for a bitch. He winked at his men. The others understood and quickly dragged Gu Cancan away. Lin Hao patted Lin Xingyi's back gently. His gaze turned cold as he looked at the others. Seeing the punishment Gu Cancan received, they knelt and begged for mercy. It was really that bitch Gu Cancan who forced us. We've already broken up with her. We'll never talk to her again. Please, let us off this once. Lin Hao snorted. You keep saying Gu Cancan forced you. You were just about to strip her. Could she really threaten you? Seeing Lin Hao about to step forward again, Lu Dao interjected. Brother Hao, let us handle the discipline. This is what we do. We'll make sure the city guard doesn't notice a thing. He was terrified that Lin Hao would lose control in his rage and end up doing something irreversible, although he could suppress the matter in the end. But as he said, it's not worth it for a few pieces of trash. After a series of shrill screams, the 4 of them were limp and dragged out. Lin Hao pulled up a chair and sat in front of Liao Feiwen. He said coldly, so you're the one who wanted to harass my sister and incited them to bully her, right? Liao Feiwen shook his head repeatedly, a fawning smile on his face. No, it wasn't me. I just saw your sister looked pretty today and gave her a compliment. They thought she was seducing me. It really has nothing to do with me. Lin Hao sneered. Then why did you tell them to pull her skirt down? Hearing Lin Hao's words, Liao Feiwen looked embarrassed. He quickly slapped himself twice. Young Master Lin, it's my big mouth. I was just talking nonsense. Lin Hao grabbed Liao Feiwen by the hair and pressed him to the ground. He used his fingers to jab 2 pressure points on his lower back. A piercing pain made Liao Feiwen's face turn pale instantly. The point Lin Hao jabbed would make Liao Feiwen feel like he had kidney stones. For the next few years, whenever he went to the bathroom, he would feel extreme pain. Lin Hao tossed Liao Feiwen aside, strip his pants and throw him out. I'm just talking nonsense too, he added. Lu Dao gestured to his men. They understood and acted decisively. First, they beat Liao Feiwen up, then stripped him and threw him out of the classroom. Everyone who bullied Lin Xingyi had been dealt with. The students all breathed a sigh of relief. Liao Feiwen was always harassing girls. He deserved to be stripped. Gu Cancan and her group were always abusing their power. Now they've finally been punished. And that money-grubbing teacher who abused her students, she should have been arrested long ago. Now that these bad apples have been cleared out, we can finally study in peace. Lin Hao walked slowly to the podium and kicked the already overturned podium again. The loud noise drew everyone's attention. attention back. You don't think this is over, do you? I said I wanted you to kneel and listen to my explanation. Lin Hao said fiercely. Lin Hao, isn't this going too far? We didn't do anything to Lin Xingyi. Why take it out on us? Aren't you afraid your sister will be ostracized later? Lin Hao looked at Huang Diren and asked, our school doesn't allow phones, right? Huang Diren was stunned for a moment. Although the school never had such a rule, he still followed Lin Hao's lead. Phones affect learning. The school prohibits carrying phones. Lin Hao looked at Lu Dao. Watch everyone collect all their phones. I don't want today's events to spread. I'll leave the rest to you. After saying that, he walked out of the classroom with Lin Xingyi. He calmed himself down and looked at Chen Fu, asking, Captain Chen, I heard you admire our great Xia's founding generals? Chen Fu was stunned. He didn't know why Lin Hao asked that, but he nodded anyway. I chose this path because I admired them. What about General Xiazhan? Lin Hao asked. His Haicheng campaign broke the invaders' blockade. After taking the strategic location of Haicheng, Great Xia's supply lines were finally opened, creating an immortal contribution to the founding of our nation. Chen Fu was excited, as if he had participated in that battle himself. Lin Hao nodded. There seemed to be a lot of thieves in the central hospital lately. Could you accompany me there this afternoon? Chen Fu's mouth hung open in SOC. He naturally understood what Lin Hao meant. He was so excited he didn't know what to do. Lin Hao patted Chen Fu on the shoulder. Captain Chen, there's nothing left for you here. You can head back now. After saying that, he turned and walked back into the classroom. Brother Hao, the phones have all been checked. Anything we could find has been deleted, but they might be backed up to the Cao. We don't know where else they might be. Lin Hao nodded. He looked at the group of kneeling students. Seeing Lin Hao appear, a student stood up and cursed at him. We didn't help your sister, so what? Why take it out on us? She didn't fight back herself. Why should we fight for her? We just didn't intervene, that's all. The law doesn't state that we must help. Lin Hao rolled his eyes. The law also doesn't state that I can't make you kneel and listen to me. Using the law to constrain your behavior? Do you have any sense of morality at all? You can be unconvinced, but now I'm going to explain it to you. All of you, kneel and listen properly. First, you don't have to be brave, but you shouldn't stop others from being brave, right? Cowards who don't dare to stop the bullies, but stop those who want to help. Isn't that aiding and abetting? How can you prove you're not involved with the bullies? The bullies' arrogance is fueled by you bastards. Second, you stayed in the classroom. Weren't you just waiting to see my sister stripped? Letting others do the dirty work while you sit back and reap the benefits. And if trouble comes, you can just distance yourselves? Your schemes are so obvious it's pathetic. Third, I just want to take it out on you, so what? Hearing Lin Hao's words, all the students looked at each other. Most of them had exactly that mindset, watching the bullying of Lin Xingyi as entertainment. Lin Hao looked at Lu Dao. If they didn't record it, let it go. If they did, teach them a lesson. He paused and continued. Go to the usual place tonight, put it on my tab. Sure, brother Hao, leave it to me. I'll make sure they don't dare to watch the fun again. Lu Dao smiled. Lin Hao patted Lin Xingyi's back. Take the day off today. I'll take you to change your clothes first, then accompany me to help Senior Nianqiu move this afternoon. Lin Hao walked up to Huang Diren. Transfer Qingyi and Jiang Shan to my class. He looked at Jiang Shan. Hesitatingly, could you accompany Qingyi today? Lin Hao's sudden invitation left Jiang Shan at a loss for what to do. But we still have class today. Huang Diren interjected. It's fine. If you miss any lessons today, I'll arrange for teachers to tutor you specifically. Jiang Shan looked at Lin Xingyi hesitantly and nodded gently. Lin Hao picked up Lin Xingyi's school bag and led them out of the classroom. Before leaving, he specifically instructed Lu Dao. Fatty, you stay here and study hard. We've already paid the tuition. You must learn enough for the three of us. Walking out of the classroom, Lin Hao patted Lin Xingyi's little head. Qingyi, you're hanging on me like this. I can't walk properly. Lin Xingyi bit her lip and hesitated, then hugged Lin Hao's arm tightly. Lin Hao looked at Jiang Shan embarrassedly, apologizing awkwardly. Qingyi was scared to death today. It's my fault for not paying attention to her before, letting her suffer. Jiang Shan shook her head, looking at Lin Hao curiously. Lin Hao, is Qingyi really your sister? I've never heard her mention having a brother, and how were you able to bring so many people? Lin Hao looked at Lin Qingyi and said, I'm the son of the Lin Group's chairman. Qingyi is my sister from another mother. Didn't expect that, did you? The poor girl was actually the daughter of a top tycoon. Hearing Lin Hao's words, Jiang Shan nodded instinctively. As for why Qingyi was lie that, Lin Hao was just about to explain, but Lin Qingyi interrupted him. Brother, let's go quickly. Lin Hao paused. He guessed Qingyi hadn't accepted the Lin family yet, so he didn't say anything more. The three of them soon reached the parking lot. Looking at the two-seater Ferrari in front of them, Lin Hao looked a bit awkward. These supercars are great, but he suddenly remembered something. He opened the door and tossed the phone he bought this morning to them. These phones are for you too. Stay here for a bit. Get familiar with how to use them. I'm going to swap for another car. Jiang Shan looked at the latest pineapple phone in his hand. This top-tier model is worth around 10,000 yuan. This is too expensive. I can't take it. He quickly declined. But while declining, his eyes stayed fixed on the unopened phone. Just take it. If it weren't for you today, my sister's life would have been ruined. Lin Hao said generously. Lin Xingyi also nodded at Jiang Shan, whispering, thank you, not just for today. Hearing Lin Xingyi's words, Jiang Shan finally accepted the phone. Lin Hao ruffled Lin Xingyi's hair, took the phone he just gave her, and saved his number in it. Be a good girl and wait here for me. I'll brush your hair when I get back. Lin Xingyi nodded repeatedly, obediently saying, brother, be careful. Getting in the car, Lin Hao opened his Douyin EP. Today, people were saying the 60O of Lin Xingyi selling herself had gone viral. He wanted to see what was actually going on. Watching the EP struggle to load for a long time, Lin Hao couldn't help but frown. What's going on? I remember buying this phone just last month. Is the quality of phones in this world this bad? 10 minutes later, he arrived at Zhongcheng Plaza. He parked the Ferrari and grabbed a four-seater car. Just as he was about to start it, the Douyin EP finally opened. Messages were popping up like an avalanche. Little brother, your singing is so good. Little brother, want to walk the streets of Zhongcheng with me? Attached, a photo in black stockings. Hello, we are from Tianyu Entertainment. We hope to collaborate with you. Bro, 50, show us what you've got. This guy must be super ugly. If he were handsome, he wouldn't wear a mask. Lin Hao gritted his teeth in anger. That black stocking photo hadn't even loaded yet, before it was buried by other messages. Damn it. He curiously checked his Oatsao's follower count. The Oatsao had reached a staggering 2.28 million followers. Just one singing 60O had gained him over 2 million followers. Lin Hao didn't think he was a vain person, but seeing so many followers now, he couldn't help but grin, laughing like crazy. With 2 million followers, a single ad could easily fetch tens of thousands. Although it's nothing compared to his current life, it's at least a backup plan. He scrolled through a dozen short videos. They were mostly people using his ODO for transformations, or doing covers. He couldn't find any videos about Lin Xingyi. He suddenly remembered. The Douyin EP had a local 60O recommendation feature. After opening it, his 60O was at the top of the trending list. Ranked second was the 60O about Lin Xingyi. The title of the 60O 6DO was high school girl chooses to be a sugar bee just to afford an expensive haircut. The 6DO showed Lin Hao's profile and his nouveau riche look, while the rest was footage of Lin Xingyi being bullied with her head down. The 6DO's voiceover claimed this was a high-end hair salon, and the girl chose to be kept by a second-generation rich kid for a haircut. Lin Hao clicked on the comments, revealing some unbearable messages. Young girls today are so vain, selling their bodies just to get a haircut? Still a student, too. That man hit the jackpot. My brother wants to ask how much for a night. It's really my brother asking. I saw one for 500 last time. She was so young. What a disgrace to Jiancheng. Can you just get out of Jiancheng? Lin Hao looked at the 6DO in the comments, his face growing increasingly dark. Because of their baseless 6DO, it indirectly led to Gu Cancan bullying Lin Xingyi, almost ruining her entire life. Damn these vultures feeding on human misery. He cursed angrily. He first called the Managio of the Muse Salon, intending to get the original, complete footage. Young Master Lin, you want that 6DO from yesterday, right? When I saw that 6DO this morning, I already organized the surveillance footage. I'll send it to you now. The Managio guessed Lin Hao's intention and spoke directly. Hanging up, Lin Hao saw the two videos the Managio sent. One was the original, unprocessed surveillance footage. The other had the SOP and staff blurred out. The Managio is smart. Lin Hao smiled. He downloaded the 6DO from the internet. That slandered Lin Xingyi, along with the surveillance footage, and sent them to the group's legal counsel, Qinlan. He also sent her a message. Sister Qinlan, please help me secure the evidence of these people slandering me and my sister. Prepare to sue everyone involved. Returning to school, Zhang Shan was teaching Lin Xingyi how to use the new phone. Lin Xingyi seemed a bit distracted, her eyes frequently drifting toward the school gate. Seeing a car pull up, she quickly got up and ran to the side of the car. Lin Hao got out, took the clothes he bought at Jiancheng Plaza, and handed them to Lin Xingyi. Get in and change your clothes first. I'll brush your hair in a bit. Taking the clothes, Lin Xingyi reached out and hugged Lin Hao lightly, then quickly ducked into the car. While waiting for Lin Xingyi to change, Lin Hao asked Zhang Shan if there was anywhere they wanted to go. In his past life, Lin Hao was just a humble worker with no experience dating girls. In his view, dating was just eating, watching a Moose 6, walking around, and finally going home. They had just eaten breakfast, so it wasn't the right time for a Moose 6 or a walk. He couldn't just skip to the last step, right? Zhang Shan thought for a long time and hesitated. I heard Xingyi say before that she wanted to go to the zoo. Lin Hao estimated the time. It's around 9 in the morning. He had a moving company booked for the afternoon, so they had about 3 hours. Youth is priceless. Let's go now. Just then, Lin Xingyi opened the car door, handing a jade comb to Lin Hao. Lin Xingyi was wearing a loose white shirt with a little rabbit holding a carrot printed on it. She also wore loose sweatpants, covering her long legs completely. Lin Hao noticed the drawstring at her waist was tied very tight. Clearly still traumatized by what happened this morning, Lin Hao took the comb and gently brushed Lin Xingyi's hair. As the strands flowed, he could see some areas of her scalp were visibly pale, clearly from severe pulling. His heart felt like it had a broken nail in it. He didn't understand. Lin Xingyi is such a good person. Why does the plot have to torture her like this? Lin Xingyi tilted her head slightly, enjoying the scene of Lin Hao brushing her hair, seeming to forget all the unhappiness. Is your waistband tied too tight? Do you want to loosen it a bit? Lin Hao asked. Lin Xingyi looked at Lin Hao in confusion, hesitantly lifting her shirt slightly, coquettishly saying, brother, help me tie it. Her smooth, flat stomach was exposed to his eyes. Lin Hao looked away awkwardly. Let Zhang Shan do it. Hearing Lin Hao's words, Zhang Shan stepped forward. Xingyi, I'll help you retie it. Lin Xingyi pulled her shirt down. Unhappy? No, don't. Lin Hao scratched the back of his head. Fine. Then I'll tie a bow for you. Lin Hao swallowed hard and looked around, feeling like a thief. You know, he solved the hardest math problem on the college entrance exam, but he had never untied a girl's waistband. Only when he got close did he realize how good the skin of this top villain in the book was. Just getting close, a fresh, elegant scent almost made him lose control. Lin Xingyi seemed afraid he couldn't tie the bow well, so she silently lifted her shirt a bit higher. In a state of blushing and heart-pounding, Lin Hao finally tied the bow. He felt his heart was beating even faster than after running a 1,000-meter race. After standing up, he patted Lin Xingyi's head. Next time, do your own things yourself. Let's go have fun now. Lin Hao planned to take them to the Wanye Zoo on the west side of Jiancheng. Wanye Zoo covers 3,000 acres, the largest wildlife park in the Great Xia territory, with the richest variety of animal groups and themed parks. Lin Hao prepared to take Lin Xingyi to the parent-child interactive area, letting cute animal cubs soothe her wounded heart. The three of them soon arrived at Wanye Zoo. Since it was a workday, the zoo wasn't particularly crowded, but Lin Hao still held Lin Xingyi's wrist tightly, not giving them time to wander around. Lin Hao took them directly to the parent-child area. Seeing so many animal cubs, their moods were instantly melted by the cuteness. Xingyi, look, there's a little tiger and panda cubs. You can feed them here too. Lin Xingyi hugged Lin Hao's arm, shaking it uncontrollably, pulling him to run around. Suddenly, Lin Hao's phone rang. He took out his phone to track. It was a message from Qinlan. Young master, the evidence is secured, ready to sue at any time. Lin Hao glanced at it, a cold smile appearing on his lips. Tonight, he would launch a public opinion war against these vultures, letting them experience what it's like to be cyberbullied. If they apologize voluntarily, that's fine, but if they remain stubborn, he'll send them straight to jail to peddle sewing machines. Suddenly, he realized Lin Xingyi's gaze seemed to be fixed on him. She asked in confusion, what's wrong? Lin Xingyi blushed and whispered, brother, your phone screen. Lin Hao scratched his head and explained, when I was recording last time, I thought it looked good, so I saved it. If you don't lie it, I'll change it now. I lie it. Lin Xingyi said quickly. She took a deep breath and gathered her courage. Brother, let's take a photo together. Lin Hao nodded, took out his phone, and prepared to take a selfie. Brother, use mine. I want to say that too, Lin Xingyi said. Taking Lin Xingyi's phone, Lin Hao turned on selfie mode. At this moment, Lin Xingyi was still holding a panda cub. 3, 2, as the countdown ended, Lin Xingyi suddenly stood on her tiptoes and kissed Lin Hao on the cheek. Lin Hao had an innocent look, his eyes blinking uncontrollably, his gaze shifting between Lin Xingyi and the photo. Lin Xingyi blushed, grabbed the phone, and set it as her wallpaper. Looking at the screen, Lin Hao looked panicked, and she looked rare and brave. Her heart was full of joy, and she couldn't suppress it anymore. She looked at Lin Hao, who was still in a daze, and explained, brother, I'm sorry. I just wanted to get a little closer to you, but the panda was too heavy, and I lost my balance while walking. Lin Hao looked at the panda cub in Lin Xingyi's arms in confusion. This furry little guy didn't feel particularly heavy. Brother, you hold it. Lin Xingyi handed the panda cub over. The moment he took it, a heavy feeling hit him. He guessed it weighed about 20 pounds. He didn't expect this little guy to be so solid. No wonder Lin Qingyi didn't hold me earlier. Qingyi, I found that the chickens for feeding the tigers here only cost 10 yuan each. The same chicken outside costs at least 30. Lunchtime, Zhang Shan said excitedly to Lin Qingyi, and I checked. The quality of the chicken here is excellent. Much better than what we eat. Lin Qingyi was a bit distracted, acting as if nothing was wrong, constantly checking her phone. Lin Hao interrupted with a smile. You aren't planning to secretly buy 2 chickens to take back, are you? The food for the animals here is rationed to maintain the animals' health. If you secretly buy 2 chickens, the tiger will have to reconcile the accounts with the keeper tonight. Zhang Shan stuck out his tongue. Looks like my plan failed. After lunch, they took a few more photos at the zoo entrance, ending their short trip. Looking at the photos, Lin Hao felt something was strange. Lin Qingyi's gaze never seemed to be on the camera, but instead fell on him. He shook his head, guessing he was just being self-conscious. In the afternoon, since he needed to help Lin Yanxiu move, after asking for Zhang Shan's opinion, he sent him back to school first. He checked the time. It was already 1 in the afternoon. His moving company was booked for 2 o'clock, so he hurried to Lin Yanxiu's home. Actually, the house he had near Jiangcheng High School was fully furnished, so just bringing some clothes would be enough to move right in. But he was determined to win Lin Yanxiu over, so he planned to take this opportunity to empty out her house, cancel the lease on her current place, and find a way to convince her mother to get treatment. After taking 7 or 8 turns, finally, under Lin Qingyi's guidance, they arrived at Lin Yanxiu's home. Because she was moving today, Lin Yanxiu had taken a day off from school and was sitting in the yard reviewing. She was wearing a white, spaghetti strap dress with a cinched waist, exposing her fair neck and smooth shoulders. Her chest was high, and the 2 thin straps seemed to be bearing an unbearable weight, risking snapping at any moment. Lin Hao stepped forward, smiled, and joked. Senior, you're dressed so beautifully today. Are you going on a date? Lin Yanxiu looked up at Lin Hao, smiled, and nodded. Just waiting for you to invite me. Lin Qingyi hugged Lin Hao's arm, stepped forward, and created distance between Lin Hao and Lin Yanxiu, giving a simple greeting. Lin Yanxiu looked at the intimate actions between Lin Qingyi and Lin Hao, enviously saying, it's so good to have a brother. I wish I had a brother too. She jokingly grabbed Lin Hao's other arm and acted spoiled. Brother Lin Hao. Lin Qingyi let go of Lin Hao's hand, hugged her waist directly, and asserted her territory. Senior Yanxiu, he's my brother. You can't steal my brother. Watching Lin Qingyi's jealous look, Lin Hao gently patted her head. He looked at Lin Yanxiu and asked, is everything packed? Lin Yanxiu pulled his arm and walked into the house. Mom, Lin Hao is here. Hearing Lin Yanxiu's voice, Lu Xiang quickly walked downstairs. In her hands were 2 bundles made of bedsheets, filled with daily necessities. Seeing the sweat on Lu Xiang's forehead, Lin Hao knew she was enduring severe pain. Lin Hao stepped forward, took the bundles from Lu Xiang's hands, and took the opportunity to check her pulse. The pulse indicated that besides suffering from cancer, Lu Xiang's body was extremely weak. Years of hard labor had caused many ailments, and she was severely malnourished. But luckily, these conditions were still in a treatable stage. If it were delayed until after Lin Yanxiu's college entrance exam, it would be beyond saving. Auntie, I've already hired a moving company. You just need to tell them what to move. Lin Hao said. Lu Xiang frowned. How can we trouble them? We can just pack it ourselves. There are only 3 months left until the college entrance exam. We're only staying for a short time. Auntie, the house is empty anyway. Having you there will make it feel more like a home. I heard from the older generation that if a house is left empty for too long, it's not good for the house. As for the moving company, they're actually workers from our company. They're idle anyway, so they might as well come and help. Lin Hao smiled. Just then, a truck pulled up to the empty lot. 6 people in blue uniforms, wearing white gloves, got out of the truck. The lead man saw Lin Hao and quickly stepped forward. Young master, is this the place? Lin Hao nodded and said to Lin Yanxiu, just tell them what needs to be moved. For personal items, you can find those 2 female workers. They'll help you pack. The man took a stack of thick cardboard from the truck, taped them into boxes, and started organizing and moving things. Yanxiu, you go keep your classmate company. Leave this to mom, Lu Xiang said. Auntie, the house here will be empty for several months. Why not cancel the lease with the landlord? Senior, you can stay at my place before the exam. After she gets into college, you can rent a new place in her city, which will save you months of rent. Lin Hao interrupted. Lu Xiang was stunned. She wasn't even sure if her body could last until then, but canceling the lease now would save hundreds of yuan a month, which could help Lin Yanxiu's nutrition. Fine, Auntie will listen to you. Let's go find the landlord to cancel the lease now. Lu Xiang said. Auntie, I'll go with you. Lin Hao said. He glanced at Lin Qingyi. Be a good girl and wait for me here with Senior. Lin Qingyi pouted, reluctant to be separated from Lin Hao, but eventually said oh cool. The landlord lived in a nearby alley. Lu Xiang walked over with Lin Hao. Walking on the road, Lin Hao asked Lu Xiang, Auntie Lu, do you know your current health condition? Lu Xiang's expression stiffened for a moment. Then she smiled. Auntie has been working all these years. My health really isn't very good. I can't do any heavy lifting anymore. Lin Hao shook his head. Auntie, I know a little Chinese medicine. It's not that your health is bad. You have cancer. Hearing Lin Hao's words, Lu Xiang fell into a brief silence. She sighed and said, I fainted while working before, and the old doctor in town said I might have cancer. I know it myself. I can't be with Yanxiu for much longer. Now that Yanxiu is about to take the college entrance exam, this is the turning point of her life. I can't let her be distracted anymore. Auntie couldn't give her a complete family. I don't want to affect her future life. Hearing Lu Xiang's words, Lin Hao's eyes shifted, and he smiled. Auntie, you don't want Senior to know you have cancer, right? Hearing Lin Hao's words, Lu Xiang frowned, her tone displeased. What are you trying to do? Lin Hao shook his head and explained, Auntie Lu, actually, your illness is still in the early stages. As long as you get proper treatment, it can be cured. I hope you will cooperate with my treatment. Lu Xiang's brow relaxed, and she said helplessly, no need, Lin Hao. Auntie knows you're a good kid, but Auntie can't owe you too many favors. Auntie's life is just like this. Lin Hao sighed softly. He knew Lu Xiang was afraid of owing him too big a favor, which would become a burden for Lin Yanxiu later. He thought for a moment, and continued to persuade, Auntie Lu. Actually, I've had a crush on Senior Lin Yanxiu for a long time. He secretly glanced at Lu Xiang. However, Lu Xiang wasn't surprised at all, but rather felt it was only natural. Lin Hao, after Yanxiu gets into college, Auntie won't object to her dating, but you're still in high school now. The college entrance exam is the most important opportunity to change her life. I don't want anyone or anything to affect her. Lin Hao nodded and said seriously, I will absolutely not affect Senior's studies, and I hope you can keep this crush a secret, Auntie. Auntie, Li Nianxiu is stunning in looks, figure, and personality. But after all, they've only just met. This so-called secret crush is just a pretext for Lu Xiang to accept his kindness. I just hope that if I end up with Senior Nianxiu, I'll have your blessing at our wedding. Auntie, you want to see your daughter walk down the aisle, right? She said, feigning a look of deep affection. Lu Xiang closed her eyes, imagining her daughter in a white wedding dress. Auntie, Senior Nianxiu loves you more than you know. Your condition will cause unbearable pain later on, and you might even fall into a coma. If Senior Nianxiu finds out then, do you think she can just watch you die? You wouldn't want her, while you're unconscious, to sell herself to some old man, just to pay for your medical bills, would you? In the original sheet to read, even knowing Lu Xiang couldn't be saved, and could only lie a few more years, Li Nianxiu still chose to be a kept woman, to pay for Lu Xiang's treatment. Lu Xiang looked conflicted, glancing at Lin Hao from time to time, and finally let out a helpless sigh. Lin Hao, Auntie won't oppose you and Nianxiu dating, but I hope you can wait until she finishes college. Lin Hao agreed immediately, nodding with uncontrollable joy. After all, just as Lu Xiang suspected, as long as he can cure her illness, given the mother-daughter bond between them, he'll have Li Nianxiu for life. Lu Xiang thought he was just lovesick, never expecting his mind to be so clear. With his business ambitions firmly in control, why would dating be better than this massive fortune? Once Li Nianxiu graduates, bringing her into the Lin group won't just eliminate competitors, it will take the company to the next level. Arriving at the landlady's door, the elderly woman with gray hair heard they were moving out today, and asked with a sense of regret, did you find a cheaper place? Lu Xiang didn't know how to answer, subconsciously glancing at Lin Hao. If these people knew they were moving into Lin Hao's place, they'd inevitably gossip behind her back, calling her loose or saying she sold her daughter. Lin Hao stepped forward and explained with a smile, Grandma, I know you're worried about Auntie Lu. Auntie Lu found a job at the TCM hospital handling mail. There's a dedicated room for packages there, so fitting 2 small beds won't be a problem. The old lady nodded. That's good, then I'm relieved. If you're moving out today, have Nianxiu write a for rent sign for me, and hang it on the door. After informing the landlady, the two returned home. Lin Hao gave the same excuse to the neighbors. When Auntie Lu asked me to help move, I thought she was moving into a new home. I thought moving was a big deal, so I even hired a moving company. Turns out it was just a misunderstanding, Lin Hao said, scratching his head in embarrassment. The neighbors had seen Lin Hao visit yesterday, and today, the moving company had already started rumors about Li Nianxiu's wealthy benefactor showing up, but they didn't feel awkward at all, curiously asking, that's good too, right? Moving companies are easy, saves a lot of money, doesn't it? Lin Hao nodded. This trip cost me a week's wages. I even took a day off today, but she's my distant aunt, and she has no one else in this city. After a few more simple pleasantries, he said goodbye to the neighborhood gossip station. Lin Xingyi hugged Lin Hao's arm, looking puzzled. Brother, why did you say that? Lin Hao looked around, and seeing no one nearby, whispered, those old ladies are bored. They lop to make things up and gossip. Auntie Lu cares about her reputation, and even though we won't see them after moving, she might refuse our help out of pride. And do you think they asked about Auntie Lu out of genuine kindness? On one hand, it satisfies their gossip. On the other, it's to build connections, to see if they can use her later. Before transmigrating, he worked at an e-commerce firm for a while. Later, during the Lunar New Year, neighbors kept asking him to help set up online shops. They thought it was like a physical store. Just list items and wait for the money to roll in. Luckily, he lied and said he lost $1 million for his bot, and was still paying it back. That finally stopped their shameless requests. Later, rumors spread in the village that he was in deep debt, and was coming home to borrow money. It got so bad his mom couldn't even go out to chat, for fear they'd ask for money. His mom scolded him twice for it, saying his reputation was ruined and he'd never find a wife. Seeing Lin Xingyi's thoughtful expression, Lin Hao gently pinched her little nose. But your brother here is open-minded. I won't wrong myself for the sake of face. If you ever get rich and say you'll support me, I'd even lick your boots. After saying this, he couldn't help but lick his dry lips. Lin Xingyi lowered her head, looking at her feet covered by shoes, her face turning bright red instantly. She shook her head gently, muttering something inaudible. Lin Hao blinked in confusion. Shouldn't she be calling him a pervert right now? He glanced at Lin Xingyi again, feeling like she was actually considering it. Did I really corrupt this little girl? He thought to himself. Back at Li Nianxiu's house, having lived there for so long, they were reluctant to throw things away. The movers were busy sorting and repacking everything. Seeing Lin Hao return, Li Nianxiu greeted him with a smile. Lin Hao, I don't know how to thank you. It's much easier with them helping. Lin Hao stole a glance at Lu Xiang, joking. When I went to return the rent with your mom earlier, she already agreed to our affair. Our affair? Li Nianxiu tilted her head, confused. Then, as if she realized something, her face turned bright red. I'm going to help. She fled the scene in a panic. Brother, what happened? When you two went out, Lin Xingyi let go of Lin Hao's arm, her voice sounding a bit displeased. Lin Hao thought it over. If he wanted to keep it from Li Nianxiu later, he might need Lin Xingyi to play along. So he told her everything. Lin Xingyi lowered her head in guilt, tugging on Lin Hao's sleeve and asking, Brother, we can help Auntie, right? Lin Hao nodded. Luckily we found out early. If we waited another 3 or 4 months, even I wouldn't be able to do anything. I want to take Auntie to the hospital now. I promised Captain Chen this morning to take him to see General Xiaozhan. He looked at Lin Xingyi, asking if she wanted to come along. Lin Xingyi looked at Lin Hao, then at Li Nianxiu. I want to stay with Senior Nianxiu. Lin Hao pinched her cheek. You can't hide your expressions at all. If something gets found out, can you handle Senior Nianxiu's interrogation? Lin Xingyi hugged Lin Hao's arm. Brother, then I'll go with you. Lin Hao arrived at Li Nianxiu's house. Li Nianxiu's face was still red, pretending to be calm while packing. Auntie Lu, that place hasn't been lived in for a while, and I forgot to call a cleaning service. Could you please go clean it up first? Lin Hao said. Lin Hao, let me go clean it instead. My mom can't do heavy labor. Li Nianxiu interrupted. Lin Hao was about to find an excuse when Lin Xingyi stepped forward. Senior Nianxiu, my brother and I will help too, and we can show Auntie around the neighborhood. Otherwise, it'll be dark by the time you finish moving, and Auntie won't even know where to buy groceries tomorrow. Seeing the concerned look from Lin Hao and Lin Xingyi, Li Nianxiu was still a bit worried. Looking at Lu Xiang, Nianxiu, cleaning won't take much effort, especially with their help. That way, once you move over, you can start studying right away. The college entrance exam is the biggest turning point in your life. You must give it your all, Lu Xiang said. After that, the three of them got into the car. Once the car started, Lin Hao told Lu Xiang the real purpose of the trip. Lu Xiang sighed softly. A grave expression appearing on her face. Lin Hao, Auntie wants to ask about how much this treatment will cost, and what are the chances of a full recovery. If it was too expensive, even if it could be cured, she wouldn't dare to undergo it. Lin Hao thought for a moment and said, Auntie, don't worry about the costs. Most of the acupuncture treatments are done by me, and the herbs and equipment are from my own family. Just pay the cost price. We can deduct it from Senior Niancho's tutoring fees. As for whether it can be cured, I can only say I'll do my best and leave the rest to fate. Hearing Lin Hao's words, feeling that the cost wouldn't be too high, Lu Xiang nodded gently. As long as she could survive, she could work more in the future, and eventually pay off the medical bills. The car soon arrived at the Jiangqing TCM hospital. Lin Hao was about to call Chen Fu when he saw him sitting in the security office. He rolled down the window and waved, shouting, Uncle Chen, get in, we're going together. Chen Fu seemed to have showered at noon, wearing a crisp green military uniform, standing tall and straight, with a row of medals on his chest. He held a large bouquet of flowers. As he climbed into the back seat, Lin Hao raised an eyebrow and joked, Uncle, does your wife know you're giving flowers to a man? Chen Fu laughed sheepishly. It's all from my secret stash. You'll understand when you get married. On the way to the Huatua Hall, Lin Hao asked, Uncle Chen, have you interrogated those people? They said they believe the rumors on lie, which is why they pushed for your sister's removal. Chen Fu said, Uncle Chen, I've already obtained the surveillance footage. I hope you can issue an announcement tonight to prove my sister's innocence. Also, because the cyberbullying led to her being bullied at school, causing her to develop severe depression. Remind them that the internet is not a lawless place. Chen Fu nodded. Since what Lin Hao said was largely true, he immediately called his colleagues at the city guard. Have them draft a statement. The car stopped in front of the Huatua Hall. The four of them walked through a long corridor to the Huatua Hall. Lu Xiang followed behind them nervously. She never knew such a place existed inside the TCM hospital. Just looking at the decor, she knew the cost of treatment here wouldn't be low. Lin Qingyi noticed Lu Xiang's anxiety, let go of Lin Hao's hand, and took Lu Xiang's arm. Auntie, my brother is just here to see a patient, not to have the doctors here treat you. Lu Xiang heard Lin Qingyi's words and felt a wave of relief in her heart. Entering the Huatua Hall, Lin Hao asked the old TCM doctor to prepare some medicine and to prepare a set of silver needles. Auntie Lu, please wait in the consultation room over there for a moment. It's not convenient to go any further inside. Lin Hao apologized. Brother, I'll stay with Auntie Lu, Lin Qingyi said. Lin Hao nodded and walked toward the inner ward with Chen Fu. The inner ward of the Huatua Hall was also beautifully decorated, like a grand mansion from ancient times. The furniture inside was custom-made, and even in this antique setting, it didn't feel out of place. As soon as they entered, a faint scent of sandalwood filled the air, making one's mood calm down quickly. Today, Xiaozhan was being cared for by Xie Yujing and his third sister, Lin Xiaoxian. The protagonist, Zhou was also there for some reason. He was fawning over her, diligently discussing something with Lin Xiaoxian. Although Lin Xiaoxian was repulsed by Zhou, she was curious about the TCM knowledge she spoke of, occasionally chiming in. How could your brother treat you like that? That's really too much. If I had a sister as beautiful as you, I wouldn't be able to treat you like that. You already apologized personally. What else does he want? Your family. Does he expect you to kneel? Zhou said in a green tea tone. Lin Xiaoxian also snorted with dissatisfaction. She had rarely gone home yesterday, wanting to apologize to Lin Hao in front of their parents, but Lin Hao hadn't returned until she left. She suspected Lin Hao was intentionally avoiding her. Lin Hao wrinkled his nose, took a deep breath, and exclaimed, the decor in this ward is really good, as expected of a pure Chinese desai. In this thick scent of sandalwood, I can still smell the stench of green tea. Who are you calling a green tea? Hearing Lin Hao's words, Zhou jumped up. Lin Hao rolled his eyes. If your ears are useless, you can donate them to someone who needs them. Xiao Hao, how can you be so rude? Lin Xiaoxian frowned, displeased. No, Dr. Lin. What kind of relationship do we have? Why are you calling me so intimately? The fact that you pointed at my nose yesterday and called me a bastard. Did you forget that so quickly? Lin Hao mocked. He glanced at Zhou and sneered. Dr. Lin, you wouldn't be trying to rob the cradle, would you? A charlatan, tricking you with just a few words. He has real medical skills. Lin Xiaoxian retorted. You have real medical skills? Lin Hao looked at Zhou in surprise. Zhou didn't answer, just snorted haughtily. Lin Hao's mouth curled up, a smile of a successful scheme on his face. So, what was that about you wanting to make the old man disabled yesterday? Do you want the old man to collect disability benefits with you? He paused and looked at Lin Xiaoxian. Can the mentally disabled collect benefits now too? Zhou's face turned pale and green. He was capable of treating Xiaozhan, but he absolutely couldn't admit it in front of everyone. Since young Master Lin doesn't welcome me, then I'll leave, Zhou said angrily. Lin Hao looked around, confused. No one is stopping you. Zhou gritted his teeth, glaring at Lin Hao. Lin Hao's words just now made him feel like a clown performing his own show. After Zhou left, Lin Hao thought for a moment and looked at Lin Xiaoxian, warning her. If Zhou has real skills, then his intentions are definitely not pure. You should stay away from people like that. If he doesn't have real skills, then he's a liar, and you should stay even further away. Hearing Lin Hao's words, Lin Xiaoxuan's previously downcast eyes lit up. Xiao Hao, are you concerned about me? Sister, no, she was wrong. It was all my fault yesterday. Since you don't lie that person, I'll have security kick him out in the future. Xiao Hao, actually, I wanted to go home and apologize to you yesterday, but I waited for a long time and you didn't come back. Lin Hao shook his head indifferently. If Lin Xiaoxian and Zhou got together, it would be much easier for Zhou to get information on the Lin Group. In the novel, the business empire Zhou built was built on the blood of the Lin Group. Even if it was just a little bit, he had to stop such things from happening. After all, as a hard-working employee in his past life, he knew that only this massive fortune was the most important thing. On the other side, Chen Fu stood across from Xiaozhan's bed, holding the flowers, standing tall and straight. Seeing his AI do standing before him, this grown man was at a loss for what to do. Looking at Lin Hao for help, Lin Hao walked to the side of Xiaozhan's bed, smiling. How is the old man feeling? Xiaozhan saw it was the little guy Lin Hao, not knowing whether to be grateful or angry. Lin Hao had indeed cured his illness. His wounds had been seen by all the top doctors in the country, who all suggested conservative treatment. Only Lin Hao dared to perform surgery, and he actually cured the illness that stumped so many experts. He really liked Lin Hao, and even had the rare thought of adopting him as a grandson. But he didn't expect this guy to reject his proposal, and instead ask him to adopt his father as a godson. Xiaozhan looked the middle-aged man up and down. Is this the godson you want me to adopt? Lin Hao shook his head repeatedly. Old man, don't talk nonsense. How could I say something so disrespectful? I told my dad when I got home yesterday, and he beat me up immediately. It seems your name doesn't carry much weight, old man. Xiaozhan snorted. When I get out of the hospital, I'll pay a visit. I want to see if my name still carries weight or not. Lin Hao was secretly high. With the old man setting in, it seemed he could settle the score for yesterday's beating. He looked at Chen Fu across from him, and introduced him to Xiaozhan. He's in charge of the security of the city guard nearby. Uncle Chen. He told me a lot about you, old man. About your younger days. You're too strong, old man, to be able to lead troops to conquer the sea, breaking the enemy's blockade, and establishing a perfect logistics supply line for our great Xia. For this merit, I have to give you 2 needles. As he spoke, Xia Zhan looked at Lin Hao in confusion. He'd seen people offer toasts, even rice, but never gold and silver needles. However, hearing Lin Hao's praise, he was in a great mood, especially since after the shrapnel was removed, his breathing had become much smoother. He nodded kindly at Chen Fu. Chen Fu stepped forward, placed the flowers in the vase, and saluted Xia Zhan. The old man, though lying in bed, raised his right hand and saluted back. Watching the old general's slow movements, Chen Fu's eyes began to moisten. General Xia, back then, I watched the documentary about you, and that's why I resolutely chose this path. Lin Hao didn't understand the romance between soldiers. After turning Xia Zhan into a hedgehog, he looked at Chen Fu and asked, Uncle Chen, do you want a photo with the old man? Chen Fu looked at Lin Hao excitedly, then at Xia Zhan. Seeing the expected look on Chen Fu's face, Xia Zhan nodded gently. Lin Hao took the phone from Chen Fu and took a picture of the two. In the photo, Xia Zhan was lying in the hospital bed, his back slightly hunched due to age, while Chen Fu stood tall and straight, looking ahead with a firm gaze. Lin Hao looked at the photo, nodding with satisfaction. This photo is absolutely perfect, without the hard struggle of the older generation. Their bent backs. How could we have the straight spines of our generation? They don't have to bend even a little bit anymore. The plain photo, after Lin Hao's words, suddenly felt full of artistic meaning. Xia Zhan looked at Lin Hao with increasing satisfaction, asking, Xiao Hao, are you engaged yet? Lin Hao looked at the old man in confusion, suddenly remembering the plot of the book. Xia Zhan had a granddaughter named Xie Shuangshu. In the original book, she was one of Johan's harem. Xia Zhan was grateful to Johan for saving his life, and after some communication, felt Johan's character was Oku, so he wanted to set Johan up with his granddaughter. But Xie Shuangshu was in her rebellious phase, strongly protesting the idea of an arranged marriage, but she didn't dare talk back to the old man, so she wanted to beat Johan into submission, to make him retreat. However, Johan was also a martial artist, and Xia Shuangshu naturally couldn't do anything to him. The two didn't know each other until they fought, and soon got along like buddies. Xia Shuangshu was also loyal, and once, when Johan was arguing with the female lead, to comfort Johan, she ended up getting involved herself. He looked at his own thin arms and legs, which couldn't handle Xia Shuangshu's antics. He quickly stopped him. Old man, I'm still a minor. What are you trying to do? As if exposed. The old man's face turned red. What are you trying to do? Lie, you've been caught. Xia Zhan looked at Lin Hao, feeling a bit awkward. He didn't expect this kid to be so sharp. He gave an embarrassed chuckle. It's good for young people to spend time together. Maybe you two have a lot in common. I'm not just bragging, but my granddaughter. She is absolutely stunning. She's every bit as beautiful as that girl you brought yesterday. Lin Hao nodded. In the book, the description of Xie Shuangshu kept going on and on about her long legs. Though she was curious about how long those legs were, she wasn't as tough as that jerk Johan. To be blunt, if Xie Shuangshu dared to lay a hand on him, he'd drop to the floor in a heartbeat. He couldn't win. There was no way he could win. He looked around for help. Wait, no. There was no one in this ward who could keep the old man in check. Xia Yujing watched Lin Hao with a beaming smile. Lin Hao was quite handsome. If he married her daughter, their children would definitely be good looking too. Plus, he had those godlike medical skills. I heard the doctors at the Daxia Medical Institute last night kept rewatching the 6DO of his surgery. They kept questioning how he even pulled it off. They were pulling their hair out in frustration. Uncle Chen, someone's forcing a marriage here. Are you going to stop it? Lin Hao asked through gritted teeth. General Xia, young Master Lin, I still have to go on patrol. I'll be heading off first, Chen Fu said in a rush. Both of them were people he couldn't afford to offend. If he stayed here any longer, he'd only get caught in the crossfire. Yujing, the old man is planning to sell your daughter off. I trust Dad's judgment. He's never wrong. Xia Yujing laughed. She was looking at Lin Hao like a mother-in-law. The more she looked, the more satisfied she was. Lin Xiaoxian had just snuck out mysteriously. Now she was left all alone in the ward. No, brother already has someone he likes. Just then, Lin Qingyi suddenly appeared. She ran to Lin Hao's side, grabbed his arm, and looked at the two of them with caution. Xia Zhan's gaze shifted between Lin Qingyi and Lin Hao. He had already learned of Lin Hao's background from Xia Yujing yesterday. Lin Hao wasn't the biological son of a Lin family, and his biological parents had both passed away. Moving into the Lin family directly, it wouldn't affect her life at all. Perhaps it was the best choice for her. Lin Hao nodded repeatedly, gently patting Lin Qingyi on the head. He figured Lin Qingyi was talking about Lin Yanxiu, as expected of the biggest villain in the book. Her brain worked fast, but this intimate gesture, in the eyes of Xia Zhan and the others, it looked like the two youngsters were dating. Lin Qingyi's cheeks flushed slightly. She stood on tiptoe and whispered into Lin Hao's ear. Auntie has been waiting for a long time over there. Lin Hao nodded. Old man, I have patience to see, so I'll be going now. With that, he quickly grabbed Lin Qingyi's wrist and fled. Watching their retreating figures, Xia Zhan wouldn't give up. Call that girl Shuangshu to Jiangcheng. If she can't charm Lin Hao into being my grandson-in-law, I'm locking up all the guns in her room. Meanwhile, Lin Hao rushed to the consultation room. He apologized. Auntie, I'm so sorry. Kept you waiting. Let's start the treatment now. After a while, the treatment ended. Lin Hao took a deep breath. Lin Qingyi pulled out 2 tissues and helped wipe the sweat from her forehead. She had never enjoyed such treatment before. Lin Hao's body stiffened instantly. He didn't dare move a muscle. Lu Xiang blushed as she put her clothes and pants back on. She didn't know what to say, but after this acupuncture session, she felt her body was truly much lighter. The pain that had been tormenting her was relieved even without taking painkillers. He checked the time. It was almost time for school to end. He figured Lin Yanxiu must be about done packing up. Let's go. The medicine should be ready. Lin Hao stretched and stood up. Arriving at the front desk, the old doctor handed him the medicine and silver needles. The old doctor also handed him an extra bag. Inside were a few bags of herbal tea. This is the plum juice the third miss made for you, young master. It's been chilled. You can drink it right away, the old doctor said, and Lin Hao nodded. He knew this was Lin Xiaoxian trying to make amends. He had scolded her harshly yesterday, trying to make up for it with just a few bags of plum juice. He thought about it for a moment, then put on a pained expression and said, tell third sister not to waste her effort. I know I'm not a real Lin family member, but mom and dad raised me for so many years. Blood is thicker than water. I still have a hurdle in my heart I haven't crossed yet. He paused and gave a bitter smile. Maybe after some time, I'll be fine. After all, she is my third sister. Even if she doesn't acknowledge me, she's still my sister. With that, he let out a long sigh and left with Lin Qingyi and Lu Xiang. Inside the pharmacy, Lin Xiaoxian had been quietly hiding in the corner watching the front desk. She wanted to know how Lin Hao would react to the plum juice she made. What kind of reaction would he have? Hearing what Lin Hao just said, she felt like her heart was filled with shards of glass. So, little Hao never blamed me. He still considers me his sister. I was too harsh on him yesterday. It's only right that he doesn't want to forgive me yet. This is all my fault. But little Hao, sister will definitely make you forgive me. Thinking of Lin Hao shivering alone in a cold bed, only able to lick his wounds in solitude, Lin Xiaoshuan's eyes began to turn red. However, Lin Hao was not the original owner. He was still immersed in the joy of revenge. If he could let her lie alone on an 800 square meter bed, never mind being sad, he'd be laughing out loud just from rolling around on it. Leaving the Huatua clinic, Lin Hao handed a bag of plum juice to Lin Qingyi and Lu Xiang. The juice was in a sealed medical bag. It looked plain on the outside, but one sip was sweet and tart. The taste had a hint of fragrant osmanthus. The cold, refreshing sensation chased away the late spring heat. It was the best plum juice he had ever tasted. Lin Qingyi was also amazed by the flavor. Her eyes seemed to light up. Back in the car, Lin Hao drove Lu Xiang around the neighborhood twice, showing her where the different shops were. He told her that if she was bored, she could go for a walk downstairs. Arriving at the arranged apartment, Lin Yanqiu was sprawled out on the sofa by the door. Mom, where did you go? Why did it take so long? She complained. Lin Hao saw a deep, dark cleavage, which captured his entire attention. He felt like he was being swallowed whole. Lin Qingyi also noticed this. She tugged hard on Lin Hao's arm and asked, "Brother, where are our slippers?" Lin Yanqiu suddenly realized what was happening. Her face turned bright red instantly. She sat up straight, covering her chest with one hand. Lin Hao shot a resentful glance at Lin Qingyi. The slippers were clearly lined up on the shoe rack to the right. Entering the new home, Lu Xiang couldn't hide her joy. She curiously opened every room. All their belongings were neatly stacked in the storage room. Lin Yanqiu had only taken out the toiletries and a change of clothes. Everything else was left untouched. Lin Hao also gave the place a quick scan. It had all the basic necessities. The only thing missing was some food. He looked at Lu Xiang and Lin Yanqiu. Although Lin Yanqiu had received a decent salary, she would probably save it for college. He walked up to Lin Yanqiu, who was still covering her chest, and said with a light laugh, "Senior, didn't you say you were waiting for me to ask you on a date? Let's go to the supermarket and buy some things." Lin Yanqiu blushed, stole a glance into the room, and stood up, calling out, "Mom, Lin Hao and I are going to the supermarket." Lu Xiang walked out of the room, looked at Lin Hao, and invited him, "Little Hao, why don't you and Qingyi have dinner here tonight? I'll be troubling you then, Auntie." Lin Hao smiled. Lu Xiang nodded. She pulled a crumpled stack of small bills from her pocket, checked her other pocket, and stuffed all the money into Lin Yanqiu's hand. "Remember to buy some dishes that Little Hao likes. Mom will make you something delicious tonight." Lin Yanqiu hummed. Acting spoiled, "Mom, I don't even know who your real child is anymore." The supermarket was right across from the west gate of the complex. It only took a few steps to get there. The three of them went downstairs. Lin Qingyi hugged Lin Hao's arm tightly, wedging herself between him and Lin Yanqiu. Suddenly, two familiar figures appeared up ahead. Zhang Shiting was holding onto Liang Wanwan's arm, walking toward the supermarket as well. "Wanwan, Lin Hao really went too far this time. We absolutely cannot forgive him easily. Didn't you say this morning that to apologize? He bought 2 of the latest pineapple phones? Even if he gives me one, I'm not going to help him pass any messages." Zhang Shiting said. "He even sold a lot of my bags. Unless he buys back every single one of them, I'm never talking to him again." Liang Wanwan said angrily, "Seriously? That Lin Hao is so shameless. He can even take back gifts he gave you? Does he think that just by giving a gift, you have to be his girlfriend? There are so many people chasing you at school, and so many top students. He's just relying on his family's money. A good-for-nothing spendthrift." Zhang Shiting sympathized. Suddenly, she saw a figure behind them. It looked very familiar, and she was shocked. "Wanwan, could that person behind us be Lin Hao? Doesn't he lie in a different neighborhood?" Liang Wanwan frowned. "I guess Lin Hao is trying to find a chance to run into me, purposely following me. But even if Lin Hao apologized to me right now, I don't want to forgive him yet." She quickened her pace. "Shiting, let's go. He's so annoying today. I need to make him wait a while longer." Zhang Shiting tugged at Liang Wanwan's arm. "Wanwan, things don't seem quite right. Lin Hao is surrounded by 2 girls right now." Hearing Zhang Shiting's words, Liang Wanwan stopped in her tracks and looked back. Lin Hao was being held by one girl and chatting with another. The 3 of them seemed to be getting along very well, and judging by their looks, her own pride in her beauty wasn't even in the same league as these 2 girls, especially compared to Lin Yanqiu's stunning figure. Her own figure seemed too plain. Lin Hao had long noticed Zhang Shiting and Liang Wanwan ahead, but since they had already burned bridges that morning, and he had no connection to them anymore, he just ignored them and walked past. Liang Wanwan ran up in front of Lin Hao, blocked the 3 of them, and said coldly, "Lin Hao, do you think that by pretending not to see me, you'll attract my attention?" She scanned Lin Qingyi and Lin Yanqiu, and said with disdain, "You actually paid 2 classmates to help you act? You really are too childish. If you sincerely apologize to me, I might give you a chance to pursue me." Lin Hao looked at Liang Wanwan, confused. He couldn't quite grasp her train of thought. It seems the original owner's simp image was deeply ingrained. Just because of what happened this morning, it wouldn't change people's stereotypes. He reached out and hugged Lin Qingyi's shoulder, then wrapped his arm around Lin Yanqiu's waist and smiled. "Thanks, but no thanks. Why would I give up this whole forest just for a crooked tree like you?" Lin Qingyi blushed, and took the opportunity to hug Lin Hao back, even rubbing against his chest. Lin Hao gently pinched Lin Qingyi's cheek. As expected of the #1 villain in the book, she understood the situation so quickly, and her acting was quite superb. Lin Yanqiu seemed to be outside the battlefield, her hands clasped together nervously, her gaze fixed on the hand around her waist. Liang Wanwan gritted her teeth and glared at Lin Qingyi and Lin Yanqiu. "Do you think Lin Hao really likes you? He's just using you to make me jealous. Once we make up, you'll be dumped." Hearing that she would be dumped, Lin Qingyi looked at Lin Hao with wide, watery eyes, and asked, "Brother, will you abandon me in the future?" Lin Hao shook his head gently and smiled. "Brother will be with you as you grow up. I won't abandon you." Hearing Lin Hao's words, Lin Qingyi felt her heart get hit by a shockwave. Her expression melted instantly. Liang Wanwan glared fiercely at Lin Qingyi, snorted, and said, "Men's words are all lies. Why do you think Lin Hao brought you here? He doesn't even lie in this neighborhood. This neighborhood is my home. He's just purposely following me, trying to apologize and begging for my forgiveness. You 2 are just tools. Only you would believe his sweet talk." Lin Qingyi made a face at Liang Wanwan. "Brother isn't a stalker. And you clearly don't lie, brother. So why are you blocking us?" She turned to Lin Hao and acted spoiled. "Brother, let's go quickly. Auntie is waiting for us to buy groceries and cook." Lin Hao nodded, and led the 2 of them toward the supermarket. Hearing Lin Qingyi's words, Liang Wanwan stood there, stunned. Zhang Shiting stepped forward and asked, "Wanwan, is Lin Hao's mom really going to cook for these 2 girls herself?" Lin Hao brings 2 girls home. home, and his mom doesn't even object? Rich people's private lives are so messy. She paused and asked, has Lin Hao ever invited you to his house for dinner? Liang Wanwan's face turned dark. The original owner invited her to dinner, but it was always at expensive restaurants. He never once mentioned bringing her home to eat. She snorted and said stubbornly, with the way he looked at me, how could I possibly agree to go to his house? His mom isn't a professional chef anyway. What good could she possibly cook? Entering the supermarket, Lin Hao pushed 2 shopping carts all by himself. In the past, when he shopped for snacks, he had to pull out a calculator to compare prices. If the flavors were similar, even if they were different snacks, he could only pick one. But now, he completely let himself go. Anything he liked, he grabbed a pack of, without caring about the price. The 2 carts. One was filled with his regrets for the past. The other was filled with snacks he picked for Lin Qingyi and Lin Yanqiu. After finishing the snack aisle, the group headed toward the vegetable section. Lin Yanqiu carefully picked out seasonal vegetables, and also bought some pork belly and a small piece of beef. We can render pork fat tonight, stir-fry some greens, make some braised pork, and a small dish of beef with ginger. She glanced at Lin Hao, wondering if these dishes would be too humble for him. However, Lin Hao's gaze was completely captured by the fresh seafood swimming around in the tanks. Are you done picking? I'm going to buy some seafood to release. Lin Hao smiled. When it came time to pay, because they had bought so much, the supermarket Minagio even sent someone to help deliver it home. Walking on the road, looking at the bright moonlight, Lin Hao let out a long sigh. He just realized that his letting go only cost 283 yuan. Just 283 yuan. And he could start from shopping at the supermarket and be het pie until he finished all the snacks. But before he transmigrated, he couldn't even bear to spend that 283 yuan. Always suppressing himself, Lin Qingyi noticed Lin Hao's sadness and asked, brother, what's wrong? Lin Hao shook his head and smiled. I just feel life is so good right now. It feels a bit unreal. Lin Qingyi nodded repeatedly. She also felt that the last 2 days were unreal. She suddenly hugged Lin Hao and looked up, her eyes sparkling like the starry sky. Brother, can you feel me hugging you? Does it feel real now? Lin Hao rubbed her head. He didn't know what was wrong with the original owner's brain. How could he have the heart to bully such a little cutie? He smiled. You're walking like a crab. We're both going to fall on the ground soon. Lin Yanqiu watched the 2 of them, looking envious. If only she had a brother like that. Inadvertently, she gently took Lin Hao's arm and whispered, Lin Hao, why don't you take that seafood back to eat? It's too expensive, and my mom doesn't know how to cook it. It'll be a waste. Lin Hao shook his head. His expression proud. High-end ingredients often only require the simplest cooking methods. Such fresh seafood. Just steam it. If you don't know how, leave it to me. I'm not bragging, but just boiling water. I have decades of experience. Even a 5-star chef wouldn't dare guarantee that they boil water better than I do. Hearing Lin Hao's joking remark, they all smiled. Back home, Lu Xian was sitting on the sofa trying to figure out the TV. TVs nowadays weren't like when she was young, where you just turned it on and saw a show. She had been studying it for a while and still didn't understand. Seeing them return, she quickly stood up to take the groceries they were carrying. Auntie, I'll make you something delicious now. Auntie, I'll help too, Lin Hao said. Before Lu Xian could refuse, he walked into the kitchen with the seafood. Lin Qingyi also had to do chores at her foster parents' house, so she followed right behind Lin Hao. Lin Yanqiu saw everyone heading into the kitchen and felt embarrassed to sit alone in the living room, so she went into the kitchen too. The kitchen was quite large, so even with 4 people inside, it didn't feel crowded. Lin Hao watched them work skillfully, chopping vegetables and meat. His own clumsy cooking skills were nothing to show off. He took a dozen Russian oysters out of the shopping bag, pulled out a knife, and started shucking them. These were a variety that could be eaten raw. Each one cost 39 yuan. He pried open the shells, revealing the plump, white oyster meat. He squeezed a little lemon juice on them and took a slurp. The whole oyster slid into his stomach, the saltiness of the sea mixed with the acidity of the lemon, and there was a faint milky fragrance. The taste made his eyes light up instantly. Sure enough, you get what you pay for. In the past, when he was really craving them, he could only eat the 10 yuan for 8 garlic roasted oysters at the street stall. That taste was also pretty good, but it didn't really matter if there was an oyster in there or not. After eating 2, he started feeding the other 3. Everyone praised the oysters, but after Lu Xiang and Lin Yanqiu had one, they didn't want any more. But that didn't stump Lin Hao. For Lu Xiang, he whispered a playful threat. For Lin Yanqiu, this was a rare chance for intimate contact with a gorgeous senior with a great figure. He went straight up and teased her, making Lin Yanqiu's face turn so red it looked like it would drip water. She didn't dare refuse Lin Hao's feeding anymore. As for Lin Qingyi, earlier when Lin Hao came over, she would actively open her mouth, but after seeing Lin Yanqiu start eating the oysters, she stopped. Lin Hao figured she wanted Lin Yanqiu to eat more, so he didn't force her at all, and just fed Lin Yanqiu a few more. After a sumptuous dinner, Lin Hao helped clean up the mess, and prepared to leave with Lin Qingyi. Little Hao, aren't you going to tutor Qingyi? Lu Xiang asked, confused. I have some things to handle tonight. Let's start tomorrow, Lin Hao said. Just now, when he checked his phone, he saw that Chen Fu had sent him a document, stamped with Chen Weiju and seal. This was a mess he had caused, yet Lin Qingyi had to suffer the consequences. Lin Qingyi hadn't done anything wrong, so why should she have to endure their slander? Driving back home, it was already past 8 in the evening. He didn't see his parents in the living room. Instead, a young girl wearing an orange crop top and athletic shorts was lying on the sofa. The girl's name was Lin Xiaolan, Lin Hao's 4th sister. Hearing the sound at the door, Lin Xiaolan sat up straight instantly, but seeing it was Lin Hao, she slumped back down. Lin Hao, so it's you. I thought mom and dad were back. 4th sister, aren't you at college? Why are you back today? Lin Hao asked. Lin Xiaolan sat up, knees tucked in, her full chest pressed against her long thighs. It's that stupid college elective. I picked one about social media. We have to build an OTSL this semester. 1,000 followers to pass. 10,000 followers for an A. I heard a barbecue spot in Jiangcheng is trending. I plan to film a short 60 there, but there were too many people. I couldn't even squeeze in. Lin Hao asked curiously. Which barbecue place? If you want some, I'll bring you some later. Wait, Lin Xiaolan tapped her phone. This one. On the phone screen, a boy in a mask was playing guitar and singing, walking through the streets of Jiangcheng, listening to the song. Lin Xiaolan suddenly froze. She glanced at Lin Hao, then looked back at the boy on the screen. She looked up at Lin Hao, stunned. She frowned and lifted his chin, looking him over carefully. Finally, she let out a long sigh. Seeing Lin Xiaolan's complex expression, Lin Hao felt a headache coming on. He guessed what she was thinking. She probably suspected he was that boy, but she knew he couldn't write such good songs, so she concluded they just looked alike. He remembered in the original Shitari, Lin Xiaolan danced in that assignment. She gained over 100,000 followers. becoming a minor influencer. Lin Xiaolon couldn't actually dance, but that 6DO showed her pure face, curves, clumsy moves, and lazy attitude perfectly. It was a huge hit, especially since she'd left her location on. It showed a remote, small town, where housing was only 2,000 per square meter. A stunning beauty in a rural town. Instantly drew tons of male attention. But later, her identity was exposed. Her image collapsed instantly. She suffered from cyberbullying and developed depression. At that time, the Lin group was failing. Everyone was stressed, thinking her depression was just for show. Eventually, she couldn't take the bullying and chose to end her life. In the original memories, Lin Xiaolon and he were both spendthrifts. They were very close siblings, but she was always scolded for wasting money, while he was the favorite and rarely got in trouble. Lin Hao thought for a moment, deciding to reveal his identity to help her finish the assignment. That way, her image wouldn't be an issue, and he could prevent her tragic end. But before he could speak, Lin Xiaolon's eyes lit up. She grabbed his leg immediately. "Little sister, I have a once-in-a-lifetime request," Lin Xiaolon begged. Hearing this, Lin Hao felt the original memories stir. His whole body couldn't help but tremble. He remembered the last time she said that. It was when he bought a necessary book. Mom and Dad found it, and she made him take the fall. The parents expected their son to carry on the line, and seeing that book, they nearly beat him into the hospital. Lin Hao tried to pull his leg back, but Lin Xiaolon held on too tight, pulling him right off the sofa. "Let go. Nothing good comes when you say that." Lin Hao gritted his teeth. "I won't. Not until you promise me," Lin Xiaolon insisted. The noise downstairs disturbed Lin Xingyi, who just showered. She ran down from upstairs. Seeing them, she asked in confusion, "Brother, what are you doing?" She wore a white bunny pajama set with puff sleeves. The hood had 2 fluffy bunny ears. She wore matching white bunny shorts. There was even a chubby tail on the back. Her hair was still wet, and she held an old hairdryer. Seeing Lin Xingyi run down in a panic, Lin Hao sighed helplessly. "Fine, I promise you, but you have to trade me your